When I started this channel, as my 8th video ever, I did a solo playthrough of Pokemon Red with a Zubat. Back then, that run made me almost quit this channel and doing challenges altogether. I removed Wing Attack right before the league, and well, Agatha wasn't fun as a result. So today I'm sort of reattempting this run, but in Pokemon Yellow. When I originally decided on Pokemon Red, I did so because Lance's team is known for spamming agility against poison types, and I thought that it would just be easier for me. Anyways, today I want to try this out in Yellow version because I think it might just be a bit harder here. Let's see. Zubat's stats really aren't impressive. It's nice that it gets more attack than special because I'm going to be using mostly physical moves today. 55 speed gives it a nearly 11% chance to crit, so that's pretty nice for a first stage Pokemon. Its move pool, though, is very limited. Not a single poison type move that actually deals damage. Like, yeah, it gets toxic, but everything gets toxic. Luckily, however, it doesn't get the Gen 1 Butterfree treatment, and it actually gets a stab move, in the form of Wing Attack. But in Generation 1, it's only got 35 base power. So as a result, I think I'll be using a lot of Confuse Ray, Swift, and Mimic today. As this run starts and I face the rival in the lab, I realize how bad Leech Life is on Zubat. Like, it doesn't even get stab, it's doing so little, so this fight here is just basically impractical to win. I guess I could do it if I got really good luck with critical hits, but I'm not going to wait around for that. That means today I'll be facing the rival when he chooses Vaporeon because I lost this fight. No Jolteon or Cloyster to deal with, and honestly I think that's probably a good thing for Zubat. In Viridian City, I stop by the Pokemart and pick up some items. I grab one Pokeball, I'll mention why later, and then I pick up some potions and Paralyze heals. Luckily, I'm a poison type, so I won't be needing any antidotes today. After that, I head out west of the city, and I use this little patch of grass to train. The reason I'm training here is that Nidoran male and female show up, and in Generation 1, Bug-type moves are super effective against poison types. So here I can use Leech Life to level up fairly quickly, at least much quicker than against Pidgey and Rattata on other routes. Leech Life, though, doesn't have very much PP, so I deplete all of it quickly, and then I have to go on with struggle training. Honestly, I think this is the best way to do it, and I just use potions to heal Zubat instead of wasting time heading back to the Pokemon Center. At level 8, I'm ready to head to the forest. There's a lass in here, and she's easy for Zubat to manage with Leech Life because she has 2 Nidorans. But the bug catchers are more annoying because of their typing. Luckily, the first one levels me up to level 10, and I learn Supersonic as a result. This is probably going to make my life a lot easier. At least that's what I thought. Even after healing to replenish my PP, the next bug catcher is a nightmare to fight. Supersonic has 55% accuracy after all. Why does Leech Life not have more PP? Like, it's so weak. They should have given it at least like 25. At the end of the forest, I catch myself a Pidgey, and this is why I got that one Pokeball. The Pidgey's catch rate is actually like so good that it's almost guaranteed with a Pokeball if you just do a little bit of damage to it. So now I've got my flyer for later on in the playthrough. At level 12, I try the junior trainer in Brock's gym, and there I incur my first reset. I train to level 13 and attempt again. This time, better supersonic luck and larger PP allows me to take the victory. But I really don't think that it's going to be probable for me to defeat Brock yet, even if Leech Life is neutrally effective against his rock ground types. I'll train to level 15 for Bite, and that'll give Zubat a much better chance. With Bite on my side, it's finally time to take on Brock. I use Supersonic first to mess Geodude up as much as possible. Bite is doing a decent amount of damage, but the rock type resists this normal attack. I switch to using Leech Life instead, and I gain back some health in the process. Onix is next, and here I need to mention how Confusion interacts with Bide. If the user hits itself in Confusion while using Bide, it actually gets cancelled. There's no text that's displayed, and the battle just continues like Bide just never happened. So Supersonic's a great way to prevent Bide damage, and because of this I actually take the Onix out with surprising ease. I think overall I was too conservative here against Brock, and I could have faced him at a lower level and still got the same result. Now it's time for the Nugget Bridge rival, and he poses an issue for my level 19 Zubat. Supersonic is just like not reliable enough to bank on. I learned this when I use it against Sandshrew in an attempt to prevent Sand Attack. Yes, of course, Scott, this 55% accurate move is the answer to Sand Attack. Well done. With my accuracy now ruined for all my other moves, Zubat faints. I tried again, but this time the Spearow does so much damage with Fury Attack, and that leads to my second loss. So the answer to this fight is just right around the corner in the form of Confuse Ray. This move's 100% accuracy is a big upgrade from Supersonic, and it lets me reliably confuse and knock out the rival's entire team. Honestly, this is probably going to be the most important move for the rest of the run. Now, it's time for Misty. She opens with Staryu. I set up Confuse Ray right away. Preventing damage from Starmie is going to be key, I think. I knock the Staryu out and then her ace comes out. And today, its Psychic type is a liability, because Leech Life is going to be doing 2 times damage. I confuse the Starfish and then start attacking. X-Defend and Harden slow things down here. I accidentally use Confuse Ray instead of Bite along the way, and Starmie knocks Zubat out with Bubble Beam as a result. This run's really not going smoothly, like it's so painful. I've had to reset so many times already. With Confuse Ray, I was expecting this fight to actually be easy. On my next attempt, Confusion is more effective, and that lets Zubat emerge victorious. The SSN is next, and the rival here is, what do you expect? You expect easy, right? Nope. The first fight, I should have used an Ether, so I end up using Confuse Ray and Leech Life to deal damage because I'm out of Bite. This allows Sandshrew to get some slashes in, and then Eevee finishes me off. In the second fight, I use an Ether, but then I take too much damage on the way to Eevee, and I end up fainting again. Maybe I should just be spamming Bite instead of trying Confuse Ray here. Unfortunately for me, Wing Attack is 1 level away, but it's only 35 base power, and that doesn't even make it stronger than Bite after Stab is applied. Since Surge is coming up next, and yeah, he's the Electric type master, and I'm a Flying type, and I'm really doing poorly so far, I think that a little bit of extra training really can't hurt. Plus, it's sort of nostalgic exploring the ship and fighting all these trainers. As a kid, it felt awful when the SSN left, and I realized that I could never come back here and visit. Because of that, every time I played through the game after that, I'd always make sure to scour every last room for all the items, and then intentionally black out. Like this, obviously. That way I could come back and visit the truck and search for Mew. By the way, I really want this max ether, if you can't already tell. I need to replenish my PP because it's been depleted after all the biting. So now I'm level 28, let's see how the rival goes. I use Confuse Ray turn 1 against the Spearow, it damages itself, and Bite finishes it off. Rattata's next, and here I use Bite, Outspeed, and one-hit it. The Sand Attacking Devil's next. I Bite, it slashes, I Confuse, it damages itself, I Bite again, it survives, but then it knocks itself out in confusion. Eevee's last. Bite gets a critical hit for massive damage, and that lets me take the victory. I actually narrated the SSN rival fight. It's been like a really long time since I did that. So now, what's my plan for Surge? Well, it's simple. Confuse Ray and Pray. Oh, I forgot to heal also, so wonderful, and then Thunderbolt. Alright, good job, Raichu. In the second fight, it's actually a fight, but Bite just isn't doing quite enough damage to get it in 2-hit range when Raichu damages itself. It finishes me off with Mega Punch. And then on the third fight, it finishes me off right away with Thunderbolt. Okay, 3 losses to Surge, that's pretty painful. Confuse Ray does its job turn 1, Raichu uses Mega Punch, and then gets a critical hit. Okay, I'm starting to feel hopeless here. The mouse snaps out of confusion, growls, and then I take it into red health. So close. But it's outspeeding and Confuse Ray won't save me, so I select Bite hoping that it'll use Growl or Miss, but Raichu zaps me and I faint. So I do something that I quite literally never do before Surge, and I train east of Vermilion City. Sometimes I actually forget that this route exists. As a kid, it was like a really cool, mysterious place when you got to the end of this route and you found a Pokemon blocking the way. This was the first Pokemon that sort of appeared in the overworld like this, and was just chilling here. I was like, what's going on? I remember actually creating all sorts of imaginary, fantastical stories about what sort of Pokemon it might be and what it was blocking. Turns out it's just a Snorlax, and it's blocking the longest, most tedious route in the entire game. Okay, so I've done my training, I'm level 30, please let this be enough for Surge. He outspeeds with Mega Kick and takes Zubat into orange health. Okay, pause. Imagine trying to kick a bat. I should have boosted evasion or something here. Okay, unpause. Confuse Ray causes Raichu to damage itself, Bite does more damage, and it looks like that's 2-hit range if Confusion works one more time. It does, and with that, Zubat earns itself the Thunder Badge. I'm always trying to improve these videos and my play in them, and recently I was participating in a Porygon Challenge race that will be coming to this channel in March. And during that experience, I learned that the bike can actually be used to speed up my runs. So I'm going to start using it from now on. I bump into the rapping lass. Her rapper name is Junior Trainer, by the way, and I hope that this sorts out any confusion from my previous videos. In Rock Tunnel I save, there are Slowpoke here, and with how this run's going so far, I want to be safe. And apparently this was a good call, because with Zubat, every other NPC feels like a mini boss battle. I lose twice to this random Slowpoke trainer before finally I manage to knock his team out. The second Slowpoke trainer then takes me within an inch of death, but Zubat pulls through and knocks it out. Now, it's unfortunately time to face the music. Zubat has no answer for the self-destructing hiker. His Pokemon even know Rock Throw, so after 2 quick losses, I decide to dig out of the cave and train up on the route before. I could use rare candies here or try to use rest, but I want to save both of those for the late game, when the game actually gets hard. But I guess the game is already kind of hard, like for example this hiker that I accidentally bumped into. Yeah, his Pokemon are pretty hard because they're rock types, and yeah, I get knocked out again. After digging out of the cave for a second time, I backtrack and train on Nugget Bridge between Cerulean and Vermilion, and then I train east of Vermilion again. At level 35, I attempt the self-destructing hiker again. Same strategy. Confuse Ray first turn, then spam Leech Life, which does neutral damage and helps me regain some health. The first Geodude blows up and does so much damage to Zubat. I confuse the second one and use Leech Life. The tension is so high. At any moment it could be my last. But I knock it out without another self-destruct occurring. Graveler is last. I use Confuse Ray and it damages itself. I regain health and I start to think that this is possible. Maybe if I get a few more heals in, and then it blows up. But Zubat survives with 13 hit points. I've done it. And now I get the chance to learn Haze as a nice little reward. This move resets stat changes, removes stat changes from paralysis and burn as well, and it also lifts the effects of the almighty guard spec, so perhaps this is going to be a very useful move against Giovanni. It does cure confusion, but honestly I don't think it's going to be that useful, so I decide to skip it today. On the other side of the tunnel I pick up TM39, this is Swift, and it's a great replacement for Bite. Because I'm really not making a good time, I decide that I should explore the hideout today and pick up some of the useful items in here. And then at the end, I decide to dig out to save some time, and oh no. So it looks like I'm heading through Rock Tunnel for the 3rd time today. So much for this being a quick video. At the department store, I sell and buy items. I want as many vitamins as possible so that Zubat is as buff as possible. I need the pain of this run to stop, and I think it's going to. Erika's gym is next after all. It's filled with women, and I can train up here. After the grind, I replenish my PP, and the Mega Draining Master takes me on. Finally, Zubat feels like a complete boss. Tangle is slow to take out, but it doesn't put up much of a fight. Its moveset is quite frankly awful against poison types. Weepinbell attempts a sleep powder but fails, and finally Gloom manages to put me to sleep, but Zubat tanks its petal dances so well. And now it's time for another typically easy rival fight. And continuing the trend from Erika, Zubat does very well in this fight. Swift prevents Sand Attack from messing me up, and with that it's Ghost time. Wing Attack here is my best answer, and it's basically my only answer. The other options are Leech Life, Bide, and Mega Drain, and yeah, I don't want to use any of those. Luckily, Wing Attack is a physical attack, and the Ghastly line has low defense. So I also put in some extra time here, and I do some training against all the Chandler, because these Ghastly are easy to knock out. After that's done, I train also in the Fighting Dojo and on Cycling Road. I have a type advantage over most of the fighting types there as well. Plus, these are great locations to gain attack stat experience. The bike's also useful for the Safari Zone, except for these ramps. Like, come on, just come on. Ramps should not be this hard. After that, I sell items that I collected, and then I purchase more vitamins for Zubat. Silph is next. I lose twice in here against the rocket that has Golbat, Drowsy, and Hypno. I always save in front of this guy. Today though, I was just being really stubborn. I was a bit frustrated at this point, and I really wanted to just go through this hallway and get back to the stairs, but like, he was in the way, and I'm just gonna defeat him, and then it just didn't end up happening, and I had to backtrack anyways. I decide to take on the Silph rival next because Koga's whole team knows Psychic, and that just doesn't seem like a good thing to go up against right now with Zubat. And my hopes get dashed early in this fight as Sandslash tanks my hits with ease. Magneton follows and makes quick work of my bat with Thundershock. I train up to level 52 and I decide to teach Zubat Mega Drain in the place of Leech Life. This is going to be better for healing anyways, and Leech Life was only really useful against Psychic types anyways. This lets me two-shot the Sandslash. Magneton manages to connect with Thundershock, I confuse it, and then I take it out with Swift. Ninetales is next, and it isn't particularly challenging in this fight. After that, Swift one-hits the Kadabra, but then Vaporeon comes out. This Pokemon, quite frankly, has incredible HP and special, so it tanks Mega Drain like it's nothing and then uses Aurora Beam. Zubat doesn't have the damage output it needs, and it faints. I tried 2 more times, but each time Thundershock paralyzed me at Magneton, and then Kadabra outspeeds and knocks me out right away. Because Lance isn't going to be as easy as he was in Red, I really want to save all my rare candies specifically for him and the League, so I think it's time to go and do more grinding. Even after additional training, the rival is still awful. Zubat handles Sandslash easily, but Magneton usually gets in at least one Thundershock. The following Ninetales and Kadabra both aren't to be worried about, but the Vaporeon is where things get really tough. Maybe Cloyster would have been a better Pokemon to face here. It has like lower special. I don't know, it gets stabbed with Aurora Beam though, and Aurora Beam's pretty devastating here. Finally, my luck aligns and I knock the Magneton out without taking any damage from Thundershock. That allows me to arrive at Vaporeon and knock it out, just barely surviving with red health. Because I have Swift, decent speed, and I'm over-leveled, I decide that Sabrina is likely going to be the best trainer to face next. I one-shot the Abra, Kadabra's next, and it outspeeds me. The current stats tables are added in post, by the way, so I don't actually know what my stats are in these fights. Maybe Koga would have been better first to get the badge boost to increase my speed. Anyways, so Alakazam is outspeeding me, but Sabrina doesn't have good AI in yellow. They actually removed it, so it just makes the strangest choices today, and eventually I knock it out. Yeah, first attempt, Zubat defeats the Psychic Mistress. I attempt to buy some more vitamins, but the consequences of overleveling Zubat is that it's already got enough stat experience that it won't eat any more of them. As a result, I'm headed to Koga's gym next. I was worried about the jugglers in here, but Zubat manages them with ease. Koga opens with Venonat. Wing attack, please do enough. But the bug survives and uses Psychic, dealing only a small amount of damage to me. I thought that it would do more. The second Venonat gets crit, and then the third is another 2-hit, allowing it to take me to half health with another Psychic. Venomoth, the Psychic Ice Behemoth, is last. Wing attack does half damage, Koga uses Psychic, and it knocks me out with a critical hit. On the next fight, I wanted to try Confuse Ray, but I actually misclicked and I used Swift instead, and that leads to a loss. Okay, so third time's the charm. The first Venonat crits me with Psychic, so that's not a good start. And then the next two both hit Psychic as well, taking Zubat down to red health. I use Confuse Ray, outspeed the Moth, it hits itself, and then Zubat goes for it. With its small bat wings, it attacks, and it does so much damage, knocking the Venomoth out with a lucky critical hit. I train in Blaine's gym a bit, and then I take him on. His lead's Ninetales, it hits me with Quick Attack, and then I use Confuse Ray. Swift doesn't do much damage, but Ninetales hits itself, fails a Tail Whip, and then faints. Rapidash is next, and things play out similarly here. It fails Growl, hits itself in confusion, and knocks itself out. Arcanine's last. This thing loves to set up Reflect, and after it does, Swift is doing pathetic amounts of damage. My hopes and dreams for a victory started to fade as a result. But then it just keeps hitting itself in confusion, I whittle it down with Swift, and Zubat actually knocks it out. Okay, yeah, I guess I'm moving on to Giovanni. That seemed like it was way too easy. The issue that I foresee with this fight is that I don't have great damage against the Nidos. They both know Thunder as well. I think that the solution here is obviously Mimic. Dugtrio can't do damage to me, it can only mess my accuracy up with Sand Attack, so I take this time to steal Earthquake and then I try that against the Nidos. I really thought that Zubat might have fared better here, but Giovanni defeats me 5 times in a row. Once again, I'm heading back to train before trying again. At level 64, I attempt with the same strategy. This time, I luck out and my accuracy isn't lowered by Dugtrio. After taking care of Persian with Earthquake, I face Nidoqueen. I use Confuse Ray first turn to make Thunder less likely, and then 2 hits from Earthquake later, the Nidoqueen faints. Nidoking's next, and unfortunately it connects with Thunder, but Zubat survives. Giovanni uses Guard Spec, well done, and then I finish it off. The Rock Sliding Rhino is last. Mega Drain does a lot of damage, it heals me in the process, and then Giovanni uses Rock Slide. But it misses. so Zubat's off to the league. Just before that though, the rival ambushes me. His mistake here though is that I have a fearsome bat, and it's actually accumulated 31 resets, so you should be very afraid. I Mimic Slash first turn, and then I use Mega Drain to knock the Sand Slash out. Execute gets wrecked by a critical hit wing attack, and then Magneton slows things down. Luckily, just by surviving my Slash, not by paralyzing me. Ninetales follows. I confuse it, it roars at me, and then faints. I outspeed the Kadabra and one-shot it, leading to the Vaporeon. Now it's learned Mist, and since it's an Ice-type move, the rival's good AI chooses it, giving me the time I need to knock it out. Now, I normally do a little segment here where I'm like, hey, here's my stats and moveset. Do you think I'm going to be able to do it? Well, my answer today is no. Zubat sucks. After saving, I use all my rare candies, and then I attempt Lorelei without a shred of hope. I can't set up against the Dugong, so I just need to knock it out ASAP with Mega Drain. Luckily, my Confuse Ray really pulls through here, and I move on to Cloyster with full HP. The Shellfish uses Ice Beam. I cross my fingers, hoping that I'll survive without Freezer Burn. I do, and that gives me a second turn, and I finish it off with Mega Drain. Slowbro's next, and now I want to Mimic Amnesia. Classic Mimic strats, after all. If you can't beat Lorelei with your current stats, just boost your stats with the most broken move in the game. However, Slowbro knows that I'm a poison type, and it uses Psychic 50% of the time as a result, and this lets it take me out. I try again because, well, I'm stubborn, and this time Dugong takes his afternoon nap, and that allows me to knock it out. Cloyster's next. Ice Beam doesn't freeze, and I'm back at Slowbro. This time, I confuse it first turn. While it does land some Psychics, I eventually finish it off and move on to the strange Jinx. I survive the Freaky Thing's Ice Punch, and it faints to a single wing attack. Lapras is last, and this is why I set up Amnesia. I use Mega Drain, and I finish it off in a single hit. So, this whole challenge has been so rough. Unfortunately for me, Agatha is the next member of the league. When I used Zubad in red, I had removed Wing Attack at this point, and Agatha was like so awful. It honestly almost made me quit this channel entirely. So there's an alternate reality out there somewhere where I stopped making videos, and just because of the pain of this fight. I had to be level 100 to defeat her with Confuse Ray and Mega Drain. Today, I'm really hoping that she won't be that painful since I have Wing Attack. I start off with Mimicking Substitute. I get confused as a result. Luckily, I get my sub up, snap out of confusion, and start Wing Attacking. This is so much better than before. All of her Pokemon go down, and I take an easy victory on my first fight. Lance time. He opens with Gyarados. I decided to confuse it and use Wing Attack, but unfortunately, right before it faints, Lance saves it with a Hyper Potion, and then he gets some more turns and he knocks me out. On my next attempt, I confuse it and I go for Mega Drain. Bad play, Scott. Bad play. After Wing Attack gets the job done, I move on. I have to say, when a Pokemon has so little going for it, you have to use the most generic Generation 1 strategies. So today I'm using the Mimic strat where you steal Ice Beam from the second Dragonair. This lets Zubat one-hit Lance's second Dragonair and his Aerodactyl. But what about the Dragonite? Yep, it's a one-hit as well. Before the champion, I teach Zubat Rest, because I genuinely have anxiety going into this fight without this move. I Mimic Sandslash's Slash. I want a powerful physical move for Alakazam. However, Zubat's 55 base speed only gives it an 85% chance to get critical hits with Slash. Against Alakazam, I fail to get one, and then it sets up Kinesis as a result. But this turns out to not even matter, because then Exeggutor just puts me to sleep and I'm doomed. The next fight I manage to get a critical hit and I take the Alakazam down without an issue. Now let's talk about the AI. The champion has good AI, meaning that he'll prioritize moves that have a type that's strong against my Pokemon's typing. Normally this results in the AI spamming status moves like Agility and Pokemon Red and Blue against poison types. Here you'd think that Exeggutor would spam Hypnosis as a result, but it isn't. And that's because the AI has a second modification that prevents it from using status moves if the opponent already has a status condition. Today, this is really good for Exeggutor. It forces me to heal with Rest twice before I finally knock it out and move on to Ninetales. And then, we both confuse each other. Turn after turn, our Pokemon just hit themselves in confusion. I get so low, and then Ninetales uses Quick Attack, but Zubat survives and heals with Rest. Oh, that was so close. Magneton time. I confuse it, it hits itself, Slash does fantastic damage, and then Thunderbolt connects. Oh no, oh no! Whew. Zubat survives with orange health and finishes the bolts off. Vaporeon is all that's left. The fact that it knows both Mist and Aurora Beam is great for me though. It uses one or the other, giving me time to heal and strike back. I finish it off and Zubat clocks in with a time of 2 hours, 39 minutes, and 58 seconds at level 79, with 34 resets and a game time of 9 hours. That's probably my worst finish in recent times. Funnily enough, it's faster than my Tangela time, although I'd probably do better with the Silly Shoot Vine Monster if I gave it a try now. Next week, I'm going to figure out which early bird gets the worm. Like, subscribe, bring the chime echo, and leave a comment. Thanks to my patrons for their support. I really appreciate it. If you've made it this far, you're incredible. It's bloopers time. Oh my gosh, I'm doing so well. This is so good. So I've been like so panicked about this video. I just got so distracted playing Porygon playthroughs. I did like 15 of them. And then I was like, oh, I got to release a video, and my Versus video wasn't quite ready for this weekend. So like, it's Thursday and this video is going live tomorrow. So right now, panic everything. Luckily, my brain is like so focused. It's like, I'm going to just get all these lines right today. There are going to be no bloopers in this video. I confused the Starship. It's not Starship, it's a Starfish. Oh my gosh. Starmie is like kind of like a flying saucer sort of thing. It's got like the weird psychic powers. Is Starmie an alien? Scott's theories. On my next attempt, confusion's a little bit more effective, and that lets Zubat. Yeah, it's Zubat. I was like, Zubad. It's supposed to be Zubat. It's not Zubat. Only in German is it Zubat. Zubat. Why did my brain think that was wrong? Rat-a-tat. I don't know. The mouse snaps out of confusion. Okay, yeah. I could use rare candies or try rest strats. Rest strats, that's hard. I train up to level 52. Yeah, level 52. And then I decide to teach Zubat Mega Drain in the place of Leech Life. The second Venonat gets crit, and then the third one is another two hat. It's not a two hat. Imagine Venonat with 2 hats on. That would be a cute little gnat. The issue that I foresee with this fight is that the Nidos. The issue that I foresee for this fight is that I don't have great damage against the Nidos. I keep saying Nidos. Stop saying Nidos. Nidoking. I'm going to say that like that now in all my videos. I used to say, what was it? Nidoking? Yeah, Nidoking and Nidoqueen. And then everyone was like, it's Nidoqueen. Okay, it's Nidoqueen. I'm going to say Nidoqueen now. It's Nidoqueen. Rat-a-tat and Nidoqueen. Welcome to my Pokemon channel. But I guess this hiker, who I accidentally bumped into, is actually quite literally hard. That's like the best innuendo ever. But I didn't want it to be. Actually, wait. There's one more thing. Can Zubat defeat Mewtwo at the level it finished the league at? Is this even possible? Well, finally the little poison-type bat gets to use a poison move. The combination of Confuse Ray and Toxic allows it to gamble and buy time. This was a tense ordeal for me, because if the legendary cat uses Psychic even once, I'm finished. But Zubat pulls it off on its first fight using these Toxic strats. As a reward for all its hard work during this playthrough, I let Zubat evolve into Golbat.